new watch, new babe.
So what's good, TMG fam? It's your boy L, and I'm back with another reaction. How y'all feel? Welcome back to the channel. Salute. Listen, first and foremost, man, I gotta send a special shout out and much love down there to Florida, man. We definitely had you guys in our prayers last night with Elsa coming through. I think she hit at some point in time today. And I think the most damage I've been seeing so far has just been power outages for the most part. So, but hopefully everybody's good and all right. And yeah, man, you know I got to show love down there to Florida, especially the home of Grady Judd, bro. We got to show a lot of love down there, man. Check on you guys. But again, yeah, you guys was definitely in my prayers last night. I was trying to watch and pay attention to see what was going on. You know what I mean? As they was preparing, because they was talking about putting us on a state of emergency in Georgia. So I was just trying to pay attention. You know what I mean? So much love to y'all. But listen, we back on these prisons, man. These haunted prisons. We checking out again today, man. We continue on with that. Here's the 5 creepiest and most haunted prisons in the world. Let's check them out.
Prisons. They are built to house some of the most dangerous people around, and with the amount of trauma, pain and terror experienced behind prison walls, there's no wonder why many of them are ranked as some of the most haunted places in the world. So here we have 5 prisons where the prisoners, even after death, seem to have never left. Starting us off is the Moundsville Penitentiary in West Virginia. It was opened in 1879 and was a prison until 1995. It was considered to be one of the most violent prisons in America, and its inmates are still said to haunt the place to this day. When the first phase of the prison opened, it had an inmate population of 251 prisoners. Over the years, the prison took a turn for the worst and became incredibly violent. 36 homicides and 94 executions took place in the prison. Suicide and violent punishments also contributed to the...
They better have wet the sponge. That's all I'm saying. Percy! You better have wet that sponge, Percy. Every time I see an electrical chair, man, I think Percy, and he better have wet that sponge, bro.
The death of hundreds of inmates. But due to poor record keeping, the total number of deaths that happened at Moundsville will always remain a mystery. With its violent past, Moundsville Penitentiary is believed to be plagued by what is called residual haunting, which is defined as a replay of tragic events from the past. There are several areas in the prison said to be more haunted than others, such as the chapel, shower cages, the death row area, the sugar shack, and the North Wagon Gate, which is where death row inmates were taken before being executed.
The sugar shack? I don't like nothing being called the sugar shack in prison, bro. No, see? And they be wanting to tell us, oh, it's not that bad. The stories that you hear about in prison, it's not like that, man. They just blow it out of proportion. But then you hear something that say sugar shack. Nah, bro. Nope. I'm gonna keep believing stories, fam.
The shack and the North Wagon Gate, which is where death row inmates were taken before being executed. One other area known for strange occurrences is the circular entrance gate, which was used to separate arriving inmates from the warden's living quarters. According to reports, the circular cage turns by itself, giving the impression that the spirits of criminals are still arriving at the prison. The 2 most reported ghosts are that of a maintenance man and Arville Adkins. The maintenance man used to live in the basement and is often seen wandering around the bathroom area of this basement. He was brutally beaten and stabbed by inmates as he would report the wrongdoings of prisoners to the guards. Arville Adkins was an inmate.
I mean, fam, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, highest grade of weed in the dispensary. I'm none of that, right? If I'm living at a prison, just quick scenario. If I'm living at a prison, right, and I know I gotta interact and see, walk past, possibly be around, you know what I mean, rub shoulders with these prisoners on a day-to-day basis, I don't think going to tell on them is the right thing to do, bro. Don't get me wrong, you know what I mean? Ethically, absolutely. But your survival instincts, that ain't the smartest thing to do, bro. No. You keep that, you walk around there like you can't see nothing. You walk around there like you blind. You don't see what's going on. Not nothing. That's something you tell on your way out when you quitting.
Inmate who suffered immensely during his execution. He was up on the scaffold when the trapdoor opened prematurely, and he fell through the hole and landed on his head, causing major head damage. Arvin Adkins is thought to haunt the gallows area. If there was an award for the most haunted-looking prison, the Moundsville Penitentiary in West Virginia would certainly win, and with the terrifying paranormal stories, it's easily one of the most haunted prisons in the world. Bodmin Jail. Bodmin Jail is a 17th century prison situated...
Yo, before I read it so fast, skimmed through it so fast, the sign, that I didn't really pay attention to tourist attraction. I just seen this Bodmin Jail, home cooked food served all day, fine wines and ales. Like, I was about to say, what? Really? And y'all talking about this was the most haunted and the worst prisons of all. No. They eating good in there. But now I see tourist attraction and free house. All right.
On the edge of Bodmin Moor in Cornwall, the United Kingdom. It was built in 1779, and during its opening, some very dark things happened at Bodmin. It held over 150 prisoners, and 55 were executed by hanging. One time, 20,000 people gathered to watch the execution of two brothers who were convicted for the brutal murder of a local man. As the site was witness to so many deaths, not just from execution, but also due to the terrible living conditions, it's become a very popular place for paranormal researchers, who mainly hope to see the so-called innocent prisoners who were executed that have been reported wandering around the prison. Matthew Weeks, who was convicted of killing 18-year-old Charlotte Diamond on Bodmin Moor, has been witnessed several times, as well as Selena Wedge, who was accused of killing a child. It has been said that Selena will try to grab young children visiting the jail, and also suppresses a feeling upon pregnant women. Another ghost that is said to be seen is...
Imagine being hooked up to that as like your punishment. Look at there. I'm thinking this right here, like one of the things they would use for punishment, you know, tie you to this, have your arms, whether you're facing it or your back is to it, having to stand there for I don't know how long, being connected to people that may be on here with you. Look at this one back here. I forget the name of these things. You know what I mean? It looks like the head goes here, the arm goes there, bro. Just extreme type of torture, or, you know what I mean, methods of punishment that they would use back then. Just, bro. And then I'll sit back and I'll be like, man, could I have survived back then? You know what I mean? And I'd be like, no, but you never know what you could have endured when you were during that time, because everybody else was going through it as well. But at the same time, you'd be like, whew. You know what I mean? You just be thanking the Most High for being born in the era that you're born in. And then I sit back again and think, what would they say about the times we live in right now? Would they call it like a cupcake era? You're like, man, y'all don't have to endure nothing. You bunch of lazy, spoiled, you know what I mean? Y'all don't know what work is or pain is or anything like that. I often think if they could come forward in time and be like, man, see what how we live, I would be interested to see what they thought.
Is that of Anne Jeffries, who roams around the jail. Anne was left to starve to death as she would not admit that she was a witch. It was after 3 months of no food that she died. 3 months is a long time without food, and this further strengthened the thought for the locals that she was indeed a witch. The bar area also has lots of paranormal activity, and it's not just the visitors who witness these things. Staff have said that they always feel like they're being watched, can hear unexplained footsteps, voices, and children screaming from the lower floor cells, as well as having their clothes tugged by an unknown force. Many believe some prisoners are still trapped in their cells because loud bangs and eerie voices can be heard in the empty jail lockups. There is no shortage of paranormal reports at Bodmin Jail, making it easily one of the most terrifying prisons in the world.
3 months with no food? You know I was going back to that. I can't make it 30 minutes. 3 months without food. Are you kidding me? Yeah, she was a witch, bro.
Eastern State Penitentiary. The Eastern State Penitentiary is a former American prison in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and during its 42 years as a prison, it gained a reputation for holding its prisoners in total isolation. Inmates were confined to windowless rooms and allowed no contact with any living person for 23 hours a day.
23-hour day lockdowns in here. Look at this bed, bro. Huh? And we complain about being on a Tempur-Pedic or something like that and be like, oh, our back. Look at these beds, bro. Look at these conditions. No window. You don't know if it's daylight. Well, it looks like a little, what you call that, skylight right there or something like that. Possibly. But imagine being in this room and that's not a skylight. That's just a light up there. You don't know whether it's daylight. You forget what day of the week is, or what day of the month it is, or what year you in being in here 23 hours a day. No, man. Man, I couldn't do no. You might as well go ahead and do me in, bro. Send me to the chair. Like, this is crazy.
Driven insane by their minds playing tricks on them due to the lack of human contact. Many of the tortures used on inmates varied from the iron gag, like I mentioned in my 5 ghost caught on camera video, to the hole, which was a hole in the ground where inmates who broke the prison rules would spend days and often weeks with no light whatsoever, very little air and barely enough food to survive. Their weak and frail bodies would then be pulled from the hole and placed back in a dark, lonely cell. The water bath was another brutal method used if an inmate disobeyed the rules, and it involved being dunked in a bath of icy cold water and then hung from a wall outside all night long. During the winter, there would be a thin layer of ice on the inmate's skin by the morning. The water bath is believed to have caught...
And y'all thought y'all was doing something with that ALS challenge? Look at this. This is the original. Huh? Look at that. Look at that.
In a bath of icy cold water and then hung from a wall outside all night long. During the winter, there would be a thin layer of ice on the inmate's skin by the morning. The water bath is believed to have caused several deaths during its use, so there's no denying that if any place had the environment to house paranormal activity, the Eastern State Penitentiary would be the perfect fit. The usual apparitions, mysterious footsteps heard, and strange sounds have all been reported here, and one story tells of a locksmith who was called in to remove an old lock from a cell door when an unknown force grabbed him so tightly he could not move. It happened in cell block 4, which is where many of the worst tortures occurred. The locksmith said that he felt a horrible negative energy overpower him. Cell block 4 is where most of the paranormal activity seems to take place. Within the cells of this block, faces have been seen to appear on the walls, and distorted forms will move around the hall. Cell block 6 is where another figure can be seen patrolling the hall, filling those who witness it with dread and immense fear. In cell block 12, a terrifying laugh has been heard on several occasions. The prison is now open to the public, and the workers there have reported that in their time working there, weeping, laughing and eerie whispering can be heard, all of which have no apparent explanation. An interesting thing about the prison is that despite being open to visitors, there are some areas that are closed off to the public. Many ask the question of what is behind the locked doors. Some believe maybe there is some dark history that cannot be released. The Tower of London. The Tower of London is said to be the most haunted prison and one of, if not the, most haunted place in the United Kingdom. It's 900 years old and the history taking place there is incredible. Its original purpose was to act as a royal power base in the City of London, providing a safe place for the royal family in times of civil disruption. But over the years it became a prison, where the prisoners would be trialed, tortured and executed. The Tower of London was a terrifying place to be sent to, and most brought there were either executed or scarred for life. There are thousands of ghost sightings. Thomas A. Becket is said to be one of the first ghosts seen in the tower. When the inner curtain wall was still in construction, Thomas's ghost was said to be unhappy about it and reduced the wall to rubble. The grandfather of Henry III was said to be the reason for Thomas A. Becket's death, so he built a chapel in the tower for the Archbishop. People believe that Becket's ghost was pleased with the construction of the chapel because no further interruptions were reported. Arbella Stewart is one of the castle's most famous ghosts, but the most persistent of all ghosts in the Tower of London is that of Queen Anne Boleyn. She was married to King Henry VIII and beheaded in 1536. Several sightings of Anne Boleyn have been reported. She appears close to the site where she was executed, and many people have reported seeing her headless body walking the tower's corridors. The Bloody Tower is a place in the castle which conjures up grisly images. There is a story of 2 young princes, Edward V and his brother Richard, who were declared illegitimate by Parliament and sent to the tower. They were often seen playing around happily in the grounds, but suddenly vanished and were never seen again. 2 skeletons, believed to be the children's, were unearthed beneath a staircase in the White Tower. The ghosts of the children are often seen wearing nightgowns, clutching each other in terror in the rooms of the castle. They are also heard throughout the tower. Currently, guards secure the Tower of London around the clock, and many have reported having a terrible crushing sensation upon entering the place where King Henry VIII's impressive armour is held.
Well, how do we need guards? These stories should guard it enough. Who wants to go in there? You see what happened to the kids? Like, nah, man, I'm not going in there. I don't even want to take a picture. I don't get that either. At the beginning, it was showing people standing outside possibly getting pictures in front of it, I'm cool with that. I don't need that.
Many guards also have stories of seeing, hearing, and feeling the presence of ghosts throughout the Tower of London. All of this makes the Tower of London one haunted place, and it's also one of the most visited places in the UK, not only for its deep history, but due to its terrifying paranormal stories and encounters.
That scene right there says it all, bro. The times back then were just brutal. That people, look at the people gathered around at the bottom to see this, fam. Like, these days we get cringe seeing at the thought of seeing somebody throw up or blood, a gory scene. Like, people would stand around back then to see people hung, beheaded. Like, I don't know. I'm not. No. This is just crazy to see. That's why I say this scene is just fascinating to me. Because people are just, and they want to be up close to the point of when he finally does it, the blood splatters on them. You know it had to be some kickback.
But due to its terrifying paranormal stories and encounters. Alcatraz. If you have ever heard of Alcatraz, you will know that it was the ultimate American prison. It was first
The Rock.
designed as a military prison in the 1800s, but in the early 1900s it was turned into a federal prison, which housed the country's worst criminals, from infamous gangster Al Capone to the insane Sam Richard Shockley, who had the mental equivalency of a 10-year-old child. During its use, Alcatraz was a brutal place of punishment and confinement, offering very few privileges to its inmates. Suicide, murder, and insanity were common, and all this adds to why it's regarded as one of America's most haunted places. Sightings of figures in corridors, cell doors slamming, and even the sounds of unknown musical instruments have been witnessed by many of the staff working there. But the current workers there aren't the only ones to have experienced strange things at Alcatraz. During its time as a prison, it was said that almost every guard and official who served there during its opening experienced something out of the ordinary, and many prisoners reported ghostly activity during their stay. From whispering sounds in the middle of the night, floating lights and figures, moaning, and the clanking of chains in cells which were known to be unoccupied. One inmate in D Block was reported to have seen glowing red eyes in the dark and screamed for hours. He was then found dead the following morning with a purple face, bulging eyes, and unidentified strangle marks around his throat. Many wonder though, did he commit suicide, or was he killed by someone or something? Alcatraz has and always will be a remarkable place, and the paranormal stories, rumours and legends will continue to terrify us forever. So that's 5 of the most haunted prisons in the world. Thanks for watching, and see you next week for another video.
Yeah, they should have switched number 2 for number 1. I feel like we've heard of Alcatraz so much, it's almost to the point to where now it seems a little bit, it's not normal, but you get what I'm trying to say. Number 2, that was crazy. That one there was even more crazier, bro. Just the torture habits and the different things that they were doing, man. And then I still can't get over that little room. 23-hour lockdown, bro. Like, COVID hit us for last year, and we were going insane for that amount of time. Imagine that. People doing that for years upon years. Take your COVID and multiply it times 3. Yeah, insane, man, insane. But y'all get at me in the comment section, man. I like to go back and check out this. It's kind of like the History Channel watching for me, man. You know what I mean? And since I don't watch TV no more, this is like my History Channel to get that fix, you know? So 5 of the creepiest and most haunted prisons in the world. Y'all get at me and let me know what you think. And stick around and stay tuned, man. Until the next reaction, I'm out. Y'all stay solid. Hey.